Welcome everyone. It is Mark Holthe, Canadian immigration lawyer. I am back for another live Q&A. I'm doing the standing version because I've spent so much time sitting doing these live sessions that I just needed to get a little bit of freedom. So if I'm wandering around a little bit, you'll know why. It's because I'm trying to stand up and just enjoy a little bit more, self-care, I guess is the best way of describing it. There has been so much going on, you guys, so much going on. The updates with immigration, the new programs, the minister hinting at a few things that I'm going to talk about in a little bit here. And there are an absolute ton of things that I want to share today, as well as always answering your questions about Canadian immigration. Now, this is open season, and I know there's going to be a lot of questions on the TR to PR pathway. There's going to be questions about express entry. All of those are fair game. But today I want to make sure that everybody understands that I'm also going to be answering questions about other areas of immigration. See you in a bit. All right, as most of you know, as a Canadian immigration lawyer, I have lots of opportunities to think about, the direction the government is going, to think about what the programs are really doing on the ground. And I've had lots of opportunities, the national chair of the Canadian Bar Association, to interact with immigration, to get an idea of what they're thinking. And all of this plays into the future of Canadian immigration, especially for 2021. Lots of people have been asking questions about what do I think the future is going to hold for the TR to PR pathway. For instance, is the minister going to open it up again if the cap isn't filled? And that's a very important question because many of you are asking that same one. If I go over here and I just share my screen with you guys, I'm going to show you a couple things. So the first one, if we flip over here, let's see if I can adjust this. It seems like I'm always adjusting my screen to make it fit. Let's get this over here a little bit so everybody can see. There they're magically appearing. Okay, and I have to expand it, it looks like. Okay, I'm going to expand that, and I'm going to shrink that down a little bit so you guys can see. Okay, so here we have the TR to PR pathway right here. And this one is essentially right here is where we can follow and track what's happening on a daily basis with the caps. And I don't think anybody expected that we would be, well, we're the 19th, it opened on the 6th, 13 days, almost 2 weeks later, and we haven't yet hit 10,000 for the essential worker categories. We haven't even hit 1,500 for when we're looking at this for the workers that are essential in healthcare. So obviously everybody knew the international students were going to really fill up quick. So the question now becomes, and I've talked a little bit about this in the past, is immigration going to open this up again? Well, the minister has been making some comments, and I'm going to be asking him one of these questions in our upcoming Canadian Bar Association National Immigration Symposium as I interview him as a kickoff to our symposium. And I'm really looking forward to that. But one of the questions on the list is, are you going to open it up again for more international grads if the caps are not looking like they're going to be filled by the end of this program? Now, remember, if you look here, there is unlimited here. So we don't know how many people are coming through these programs, at least not for certain, but that's the biggest question. Will they open it up? And it's interesting when I flip over here, and this is, you can go to the Globe and Mail, you can pay for this article because it's a paid article. I'm not going to just publish it, freely on my website, but this is the heading. So you go here, Immigration Minister, open to raise permanent residency caps. Okay, so what he's really talking about is the possibility of opening up these so that more people, potentially international grads, may have another opportunity. Now, what is he looking at? What is he focusing on? Well, I think you guys probably realize already that what the minister's focusing on is how many applications are going to come through and how many do they actually expect to process? How deficient are the applications? How frequently are the applications they are getting full of mistakes, full of the wrong forms, full of errors that under normal circumstances would result in these applications getting returned? So those are all of the things that are happening right now that the immigration minister is trying to sort out, but there is a chance. So those of you who are struggling, realizing that you didn't have your immigration medical, that you couldn't apply, missed out, there may still be an opportunity. And the reality is, even if you are an international grad, go get your medical test booked. Even if it's going to take a long medical, your language test is what I'm trying to say here. Medicals, you know, they are what they are. And yes, there are requirements. So book those too if you've never done one before, but it's language test. That's what I'm focusing on here. So if you don't have a language test, get one. They're valid for 2 years. Book your exam date and get it in your hand, because you don't know whether or not immigration is going to open it up. Okay. Now we've got a ton of questions that are piling in already. I can see that. I'm going to ask you guys to hold off on your questions. Once we reach the stage where we get to those questions, then I will say, now start posting them. So anyone that's posting questions right now, I'm not going to be addressing any questions until we reach question period. All right. Okay, so we've got a bunch of people tuning in. And as always, let me know where you're listening from. I love to see how many people now are tuning in from Canada versus people overseas. For a number of years, a lot of the people attending these live sessions were people that were overseas, that were actually hoping to get through express entry via the federal skilled worker program. But that is definitely shifted, hasn't it, with this pandemic? And just a couple little highlights as well that I want to point out is that it is very unlikely the government's going to do anything, you guys, to expand the issuance of overseas visas until the travel restrictions are lifted. Now, we're optimistic, and what else can we do but be optimistic? So if you're in that situation, understand that you just have to hang tight. And it is what it is. The government is not going to be pushing forward with outland applications until the travel restrictions actually allow people to come in. All right. So let's see here as Carolina says, hey, Mark from Vancouver, is it true that you have snow over there now? I haven't even looked outside. Give me a second. No siree, it is nice and sunny. What's the temperature outside? Let's see. Let's see what the temperature is. Okay, it's 8 degrees, so it's not, there you can see it. It's 8 degrees, so it's not too bad. No snow yet, but if I look at the forecast, tomorrow, Thursday, if you could see my phone here, there is a 100% chance that when I look outside there's going to be snow. So maybe I should just add some snow right now and just let it come down for the first little bit while we're doing introductions here. Because, hey, this is Canada. This is Alberta. And the swings between snow, sun, we could get a snowstorm in June. And we are today, May 19th. So let's let the snow fall for a little while we're doing the introductions. Okay, we've got Darwin tuning in here. Good to see you. Emily in Canada, awesome, great to see you as well. And I think everybody, like we've said, is waiting for the borders to open. Bella, hello, good to see you. Dizzy Aussie, hello. Yeah, Kashif, no updates on that one. This is funny. Ice SX says, do you still hold your Bitcoin? No, my friend, I sold my Bitcoin about a month ago. I liquidated all the Bitcoin I had. I made my money, a little bit of money, and I said, you know what, this is too volatile. I don't like playing the slot machines. And so maybe other people are making millions, maybe they're not, I don't know. But yeah, as far as Bitcoin, I sold mine. Okay, let's see here. We've got Ahmed from Morocco. And like I said, as far as questions go, I'll get to those in a little bit. So hold off your questions. I just want to see where people are tuning in from. Candy, good to see you. Okay, we've got Wai Zhao, good to see you. Let's see, and we'll flip down here and see if we've got some more people doing introductions here. All right. Let's see here. Okay, Angel is in Ontario, great. We've got Rohit's in Punjab. Let's see here. Let's see, who else do we've got here? Tanuj is from India. Okay, great. We've got a lot of representation outside of Canada, which is really, really cool. And for you guys, it's about, what is it, about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. So I'm glad that this time is still able to work for you guys. Let's see who else we have here. Just looking to see if anybody else. Okay, Amit is from Virginia. good to see you. And what is Abdul? What do you got here? The public critic of Canadian immigration. You should open a special show for you, and you publicly be on social media and TV also. Man, you look smart today. So we hope you'll be always in Canada and hug you just past to say hi. Awesome. Thank you. I'll give you a shout out there, Abdul. Abdul's a past subscriber to the Express Entry step-by-step course. So great to have you, Abdul. All right, let's see. We've got Akshay, who's in Thunder Bay. And we haven't done this a lot. We haven't done introductions and shout outs. So I love doing this. Abir is in, love from Waterloo. Awesome. Welcome. It's great to have you. I love pulling people out. This is great. Okay, let's see here. What else do we have? Okay, and do you know what? I'll just address this very, very carefully. Okay, so I will address Aman, and this will be the only time that I'll address this. When it comes to anything Quebec or anything related to Quebec students, that is something I cannot speak about at all. I don't have any experience about that. Contact an immigration lawyer in Quebec. That's the only thing that I can tell you guys, okay? And I'm gonna bypass all the other questions. So anyone who's asking questions about Quebec students, my heart goes out to you guys, but it's not something that I can comment on because I don't really know the situation at all. And I don't practice Quebec-based immigration, and even in those circumstances, I highly recommend that if you have questions, you reach out to a Quebec-based immigration lawyer. All right? Okay, moving on here. Let's see. Okay, we've got Jacqueline is in Toronto. Excellent. Let's see what else we have here. Oh, good. We've got It's from Durban, South Africa. Very cool. Thank you. We've got New Brunswick. Kadia is over there. Excellent. This is great. We've got Nuran's over in the UAE. This is the kind of representation. Kashif is in, okay, Ben's over in Toronto. Kashif was Vancouver. Vishvesh, hello. Thank you for saying hi. Okay, let's see. We've got Rashid is over in London. And Simone, you're very welcome. Simone was one of the great contributors in one of our past TR to PR pathway programs, the course that I offered, which you can click on the link below. It's still open. Actually, guys, I'm going to be going live in that group a little bit later this week. I haven't been in there for a little while, but I'm going to be going live to answer questions in that group later this week. And Simone was a great big help. She was sharing information. She was helping the people in that class, and her and 3 other people also won a $100 Amazon gift card just for being awesome. And so you're very welcome, Simone. I'm glad that you liked it. Okay. All right. We've got Olu's over in Victoria. Oh, I hope the weather's a lot nicer there. Great. This is great. Gagan's in Canada. Awesome. Let's see. We've got Jason's over in Kitchener. Kadia's in New Brunswick. George, good to see you, my friend. Isaac's in Toronto. We've got a pretty good Canadian connection here, don't we? Absolutely. Harshil is over in Ontario. This is great. Shristi is in Ottawa. It's always fun trying to pronounce. Yuri's in Calgary, close. Oh, Yuri, do you have snow? Maybe Yuri has snow. I'm making it snow because the snow was on its way tomorrow. Gagan's over in Toronto. Trath is in India. You're very welcome, George. Okay, we've got a bunch. And so if I've skipped you, don't worry. I'm reading, I'm seeing you guys. I'm seeing Joel, I'm seeing Akash, and all of your comments. Thanks so much for letting me know where you're tuning in from. Oh, and we've got HB and PEI. That is so cool. That's somewhere that I definitely want to take my wife. We were supposed to go, of all times, March 18th, the day that goes down in infamy, 2020, for my wife and I, our 25th wedding anniversary. We were going to go to Egypt, Jordan, and Israel. And my goodness, how things have changed. It's crazy. Like right now, we wouldn't be going to Israel even with the travel restrictions. But it is just, it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy to see what has transpired in the past, well, a little over a year now, isn't it? Okay, Sean is Jabi Ottawa. Excellent. We like that. That's great. And hopefully, Sean, you're going through the TR to PR pathway for the French speakers. Okay. All right, we've got, let's see here. Manjeet is from India, and my son is in Canada. Thank you so much for giving the correct information about immigration. You're very welcome. My pleasure. Oh, Xian is in Summerland, BC. Oh, I'm jealous. I am so jealous. That is awesome. And we've got Fly with Aaron, who's in YBR. Awesome, Aaron. Good to see you. Okay, Lara says, don't skip me. Okay, well, understand sometimes I will skip just because I'm going 100 miles an hour. All right. Yes, I am feeling cool. The snow is drifting down, but it's a light, fluffy snow. All right. And Festus, yeah. Whoa, big shout out to Festus. This is awesome. Festus is down here in Lethbridge. That is so fantastic. Okay, well, this is great, guys. Thanks for everybody connecting in. And yeah, I'm just bouncing around here with everybody. I'm a one-man show, guys. So remember, I'm not able to connect in and pull everybody in, but it doesn't mean I don't care about you. It's just physically impossible. You know, one of the interesting things that I was talking with my staff is, you know, maybe we should set up a super chat where people, you know, can pay $1 or something to get their question bumped up. But I don't know if that would work with the Law Society. I don't know. At the end of the day, we do the best that we can to try to go through and to, you know, I do to answer as many questions as I can. Okay, let's jump in here. And now Ralph says snow in Edmonton. Oh, I'm so sorry. We'll finish off with Ralph there with the snow. I'll remove my snow and now we'll open it up for questions. Okay, so it's 10:19 right now. We're going to go to just before 11 o'clock because I have to review a final EAPR submission for a client. We met a couple times and it's just perfect now. And we just have to upload a few more documents and then click submit. And so, yes, I have my day job. Yes, the collaborative review that I do with my clients is where they and I go through every aspect of their express entry application, every aspect of their TR to PR pathway application, all with a goal of making sure that nothing is missed. There's none of those mistakes that happened with all of you who previously submitted your TR to PR pathway. And so understand that is always there. It's what I love to do every bit as much as doing these lives and just giving answers and hopefully correct answers. That's the goal. All right, let's keep zipping through here and let's see. Now remember, if you have a question, you must put a Q in front of your comment. Otherwise, I think you're just answering questions back and forth or you're just talking. And I want you guys to talk. I want you to communicate with one another. I want this to be a community as much as it can be within YouTube, a kind, respectful community. Like I said, any questions about Quebec and students is completely taboo, not areas that I'm going to address at all. So I will skip through those. If you're asking a question that really is very specific to you and your unique circumstances that only relates to your situation and it can't be of benefit to other people, I will ring this bell right here. And that means you need to go down and click on the link to book a consult. And then we can really dive in and I can give you the proper information that you need. But questions that are of benefit to everybody, absolutely put those out there because those questions are super, super critical to filling in this live Q&A with information that's the most benefit to the most people. If I skip past your question, if it's too long, I'll skip past it because then I waste 20 seconds answering questions. Now, some people were complaining about the fact that I only answered the easy ones or I didn't answer the big long ones. That's why, guys. If it's a complex question, I'm not going to answer it in a YouTube. I'm going to direct the person back where I can properly analyze the situation and give advice, which is legal advice, which is not what I'm doing here, which is sharing information. And so, yes, so understand, you bet, if there's a question that relates to something that really needs a consult, I will skip it. If it's a long drawn out one that it takes me 20 minutes to read, I'm not going to answer that one as well. So keep them super concise so I can get to as many people as possible. Okay. Let's zip through here. And because I didn't advise people about the queues, I will touch on Minu right here. She says, can I submit application without letter of employment with all of the documents and explanation letter for essential workers as my employer is holding my request for LOE? Your employer is crappy. Any employer who's not willing to give their worker a reference letter, and I have no problem saying this, I've got serious reservations against them. Because why would you want to stay with them if they're not supporting you in your PR pathway? Ultimately, what that means is that employer more than likely just wants to keep you as long as they can, and they know the moment you get your PR that you're going to be gone. And so, Minu, the answer is we don't know. We don't know how much discretion immigration is going to have to accept your work history through proof of other means than a reference letter. We just don't know, Minu. At the end of the day, if you can't get it, you're going to do whatever you can to prove it. And every single thing that immigration is looking for in that reference letter, you need to find some other independent, verifiable way to prove it. But the fact, if your employer is holding your request, in other words, your employer is not cooperating and not giving it to you, then yeah, that's a pretty crappy situation. And I feel for you guys. But Mino, there's no guarantee. We just don't know, okay? Manpreet's in Winnipeg. That's where I went to law school, the University of Manitoba, Manpreet. Okay, Sean says, is there any possibility for an FSW draw for inland candidates? They're not going to separate it out. The system is not designed for them to do anything FSW in Canada. It's all about people who have Canadian work experience. So Sean, that is not going to happen. Will they open up an FSW or an open draw? Maybe, but not until the travel restrictions start to lift. That is my belief, and that is my opinion. Okay, any news about a work permit while waiting for TR to PR approval? Work permit is set to expire June 9th. You can file your work permit application. If you file it before your current work permit expires, well, you can continue to work under implied status, but there's no, as far as getting a work permit, and this is what you're asking, something like a bridging open work permit, we haven't heard word yet. However, once again, we have heard immigration officials indicate that they are looking into it. So I'm holding my fingers, I'm crossing my fingers that yes, they will create something. Understand, it's not going to be the bridging open work permit because those are for the economic programs. The TR to PR program is based under Section 25 of the Act, which is a humanitarian and compassion application. So it's not designed for a bridging open work permit, to be included within that within that category. But there's nothing stopping them from creating a standalone bridge, just like a standalone work permit extension for people who have TR to PR pathways and have an acknowledgement of receipt. You've seen that they created an 18-month new pilot for international grads, and so they can do the same thing if they choose to for the TR to PR pathway. Okay, let's see what's next here. Ibadat, I don't know why you'd ask for a refund now. Ultimately, I guess, well, you can request anytime you want, but unless you have a file number and you can actually give notice that you're asking to withdraw or pull your application until the IRCC web portal opens up. And for those of you who do not know what that is, this is something that's going to become a real hot button issue. So if you go to here, web form, IRCC, right here, this is where more than likely, if there is any place, and I'm not saying 100%, where you're going to be updating immigration about anything related to your TR to PR pathway. But if you go here and you look and you scroll down and you say, okay, I'm a permanent residence applied online. That's what you did. When you click on here and then you go to the type of application, you'll see the only one that's showing is express entry right now. It could be that the TR to PR pathway is added on here. That's possible. But at this stage, that's the only one we see. And so by choosing, even if you choose generic permanent residence, so let's see what we have here. So we've got permanent resident card, we've got temporary, we've got applied by mail. Those are the only two options. We've got in Canada permanent residence. If we click on that one and look, you can see there's H&Cs, live-in caregivers, protected persons, but once again, no trace of TR to PR. So what that means for you guys is that at this stage, until we start to get acknowledgements of receipt, there's not going to be any meaningful way for you to update your file. Now you can just generically choose express entry or something and say in the box, if we flip back here, you could go back here and say, okay, I did apply online and yes, it's express entry, and then go down into here and say, I applied through the TR to PR pathway and need to update information on my file because there was no option within the IRCC web form to choose TR to PR pathway, comma, I have used the express entry process. And then, you know, maybe that's what you do. I'm doing this on the fly, guys, right? Like the reality is people are worried because they're afraid that if they don't do something now, that at the same time the acknowledgement of receipt comes, a refusal will come. That is possible. It's possible. But understand right now, this process right here is not linked with the TR to PR pathway, which is, let's see if I can find it here. This one right here, probably. Yes. So these are built in two different systems. So when you go in here and you log in, you will see that this process here, it's not linked in any way to this IRCC web form. So that's why you can't see it, because it's not a part of this yet. But if you're a client and you've submitted your own application, you'll see at the top here that there is an indication that if you need to update your file, it actually directs you, and I've showed you this in past videos, it directs you back informally to the IRCC web form. So we'll just have to see how that plays out. Okay, let's see what we have here. All right, George, let's see what he's got here. Called RCC, they said eligibility phase is passed. What does that mean? They already checked work experience and education. They said only criminality and security checks are left. What that means is they're just doing the background checks, George. Right now, we're about 7 months for inland CEC applications, bearing, you know, taking in consideration that some countries are a little bit slower when it comes to actual security checks and security screenings. But in your situation, George, you're well on your way, my friend. Hang in there. You are well on your way. Yep, I've already explained that one there, if Donna. Okay, I have not heard yet of anyone, Richard. If anyone has received an acknowledgement of receipt, please post it in the comments below. In our Facebook group, this is one of the questions that we are actually tracking, is whether or not people are actually receiving their acknowledgements of receipt. And I can tell you at this stage, we're not seeing anything yet. So when I go into our group right here and I scroll down, we have a special little document that tracks the status of the TR to PR pathway. And the reality is when we go through here at this stage, there really isn't anything in here in that actual, this link right here. No one has been posting that they've been receiving acknowledgements of receipt. So at this stage, if you guys have, I'd love to hear. That would be really cool. We can start letting people know, but at this stage, we haven't seen anything. Okay, and if I've already answered the question, then I'll just skip by yours as well. Abu, I wonder if pay stub summary is okay. If it's an official document from the company, then I'm going to say that that's okay. Okay, Shrishti says, in the new pathway in family information, should I mention for my grandmother? Nope, she is not a family member that's dependent to be included in the application, other than, well, I'm trying to even think. It just asks your parents, not grandparents. Yep, Elias. It's not that it is completely halted, but they're not issuing passport requests or visas at this stage for the federal skilled worker. And remember, Q is what I'm looking for if you've got a Q in front of your question. If you're asking a big long one, that tends to be a little bit more specific. And if you're asking if I'm eligible, I'll also ring that bell to let you know that that's a question that really needs to be addressed through a paid consultation. Okay, let's see here. Yes, and so if it's a long one like Rohit, I'll just bring yours up as an example, okay? So he's got a lot of questions that are all specifically about him. And so that's where I have to ring the bell. And if you do have a long question like that, you need to book a consult, because I need a whole lot more information to be able to tell you, you know, or to provide information. And it's very specific, and that's legal advice. Okay. Yep. So we got those questions. Okay, so Anthony, he selected 1 other and 2 permit holder class on the generic form. Is this going to be an issue? Well, it's not the right one, Anthony. You should have selected economic and then TR to PR pathway. So so is it possible? I've had applications returned for less. It's entirely possible. Let's see here. Okay, Akash says, can students apply under the TR to PR? Yes, you can, as long as you can show that the work you obtained meets that 1 year, 1,560 hours, and you did it legally, that you didn't work more than 20 hours during school and full-time in the breaks. And this one, Vidura, I'll also ring the bell there. He says, I got my ITA for his expression of interest from the ONP to apply yesterday. I did an application for TR to PR too. Should I apply both? If I do, can I get a refund for one of the applications? Usually those types of questions, Vidura, I really direct back to this right here. But in your situation, I'll genericize this one so it benefits everyone. I never withdraw any application unless I absolutely have to. In other words, unless the government says you need to make a decision. In like manner, if I have as many options available as possible, I will pursue all of them if I have any doubts or questions about an existing application. So you can apply through multiple streams, but remember, TR to PR pathway, you can't apply more than once in the same stream. Immigration has confirmed with us that if a person submits two, that second application will be withdrawn or will be canceled, and they will only rely on the first one. So that's the only restriction that's out there. Okay, Naravi, I want to direct you, anyone who has questions about study permits, I'm going to show you guys something here, and I'm not quite sure if it's up yet. I don't think it is. Let's just flip over here, and then I'm going to show you guys. So those of you who are on the YouTube channel, I think you probably also are aware of the fact that I have a number of different streams. And one of the streams that I have, as I move this back just a little bit here so we can get it on the same page, okay? One of the streams that I have here is called, if you go to playlists, it's called right here, Immigration Nation. And when you click on this one, and I'll pause this, you will see that I have a number of videos on all types of applications. So we've done a number on international students. I brought Will Tao on. Let's see if we've got Will's. International students in Canada, what the future holds with Will Tao. Well, I can tell you guys that I've got another one coming on Friday. And let me just check quickly what the time is. So you have to tune in on Friday afternoon if you're an international student, someone looking to study in Canada, because we're going to look at the statistics. I'm bringing on LJ. He's going to join me, and let me just pull up my email to make sure that I have the right time, because we don't have it. It hasn't been promoted yet, but it is at 1 p.m. on Friday. So 1 p.m. Mountain Time on Friday is when I will be joined by LJ Dangsalon. And he is going to be sharing statistics that he's pulled up so that you could see literally what the chances are from a statistical standpoint of immigrating from different countries. And so this was kind of this was a big hit when Will Tao, one of his co-podcasters, joined me before. And so we're going to have LJ come on Friday at 1 p.m. and talk about this. So any questions about international students, I want you guys to save those for LJ on Friday. Okay, so I'm going to skip through any questions related to international students. 1 p.m. Mountain Time, that's 3 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday. Come and join me. Okay, and watch, because we will post that as a scheduled post so you guys will know. All right, let's see what else we have going on here. Okay, this is a good question. So Namanth is asking about Outlanders who are in Canada studying. Is it in process? Security is done. Since already in Canada, is it possible to get PR? This is something that the government is looking at, but at this stage, they have not separated out FSW from CEC. And so people that are in Canada under an FSW, they're also being delayed and held back. Especially if you have any dependents overseas, even if you are a CEC candidate, your application is going to be held back. But if you're an FSW, they're not separating those out and treating them different from a person being inside Canada versus outside Canada. So you're kind of stuck in that situation, Namantha. All right, let's see here. Okay. Okay, I got a biometric request, TR to PR, Shivam, from your course submitted at 9:01 a.m. PST. Wow. Okay. All right. Okay, well, we've got a biometric request. Well, that's interesting. I'm curious as to your acknowledgement of receipt. Did you get one of those? Okay. Let's see what else we have here. We've got a couple that are popping up twice in my feed. Okay, so will there be any new draw? Well, yeah, there's going to be a new draw. CRS is 421. I'm in the pool currently, and I'm from India. FSW, I really doubt, call upon, if they're ever going to get down to 421 as a CRS score for open draws. I really, really doubt it at this stage. And more than likely, it's barely, if it does, going to get down below 470 with how competitive everything is. Okay, Abdi says, why applications taking longer than usual? Because of the pandemic. Yep, no words yet, Richard, on AORs. I'm going to try to get to people. If I've answered one of your questions, if you're wondering why I skipped one of your questions, I'm trying to get as many questions as I can. Okay, Venetia also, she says that she was given an ITA under the CEC, but figured out that the TR to PR under French was much easier to apply. Is it okay to decline the invitation now or wait till I receive the AOR? Venetia, if money isn't an issue for you, I would pursue both. I really would. I wouldn't take any chances. I would pursue both and make sure that you've got a backup. Ultimately, you don't know what's going to happen because remember, easy or not easy, whether it's difficult, easy, straightforward, or appears to be complex, the reality is applications rarely get refused because of some complex requirement. They get refused because you've missed some little tiny thing. Like the clients I'm joining with right after this at 11 a.m., they didn't upload an original of their Spanish police certificate. And because of that, their application got returned through express entry. So you just don't know. And we don't know how rigid they're going to be with the TR to PR pathway. So if you've got options, Venetia, and the extra $550 or whatever the application fee might be at the time in which you apply, if that's not an issue, I would consider, I would take every opportunity. I would consider all options. You know, if money is a real big issue, then you need to make that decision. It's not something that I can tell you. And the reality is when people ask this question to me, I say, okay, let's go on and let's take a look at your whole express entry application. And I assess it. And I say, what are the strengths? Do I feel like you've got a strong chance or not? And that's how I make the determination. So it's not just a simple matter of, should I do this or that? I need all the facts. Okay, I applied under the healthcare stream and just changed the job. Where do I inform them? No place to inform them yet. Hold off. Once you get your AOR, then you can inform them. Okay. Okay, Nitin says, if my master's is for 10 months, how much work visa will I get? Okay, good question, Nitin. I'm gonna also direct you to Friday at 1 p.m. Mountain Time. But understand that anything, here's the general rule, any program that is under 2 years, and this is why I encourage every single person to always study at least 2 years. Don't take a short-term program of a year because you're only going to get a work permit, a post-grad work permit that corresponds to the length of your program. So Nitin, if my master's is for 10 months, you will see, and we could actually go in and look at this as well. Just give me a second here. I'll see if I can pull up the actual rules for you. And sometimes it helps when I actually pull up the source for you guys. Okay, so let's flip this over and I'll just show you because it's important. You can almost always find the information, at least the answers to most of the questions on the IRCC website. So this one here is postgraduate work permit validity. Okay, so it's pretty easy to see here. So postgrad work permit validity, programs of a minimum of 8 up to 3 years. They may consider the duration of the program. Regular scheduled breaks, it talks up them, should be included in the time. Okay, so if we scroll down here, let's see if we can find a nice little table for you, okay? The program of study is at least 8 months and less than 2 years. You can see then the length of the permit should coincide with the length of the program. As we scroll down here, if the program is longer than 2 years, then it's going to be 3 years. If the student completed more than one program from an eligibility within 2 years, then you can combine them, okay? So this is how it's structured. This is how the government treats these. There's other information there. And all you have to do is just Google this, okay? I'm not gonna have time to post it in there, but that's just drawing back to the source so that you can see where the information is coming from. So that's where I would direct you in. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Okay, so this person says, hey, my IELTS is expiring this July and I submitted an application for international student stream. Should I book an exam? No. If you had your language tests were valid at the time in which you submitted your application, then you're not going to have to redo your IELTS. They're locked in. Vikram, in the 0008, all of you guys that are asking specific questions, I encourage you to go and book and to register for the TR to PR pathway course. If you're going through this process, you're filling out the forms, guys, like I dropped the price down. Let me just pull it up so I can show you guys here. When you go to the Canadian Immigration Institute right here, and you click CR courses, you'll see that I have reduced the TR to PR pathway program by 50%. So when you click on this link, it will take you right here, and the price of the course right now is, there we go, it's $173.50 US. That will not only give you access to this, and I'll show you what I have in here. So if you go here, I'll just log in myself to my own little account here, and I'll just show you what I mean by this. And if you go down, here's the course, TR to PR pathway. I've got an express entry one that's going right now that's awesome. But in here, you will see that there are modules for everything: learning the basics, preparing for the program, module 3, completing the IRCC forms. In here, I have a video for a tutorial walking you through how you complete each of the application forms. If I jump here, you'll see I've got this in super speed, so I'll pause that. But you can see here that I actually walk through and show you how you complete each section. And so those who are asking the questions here, I can't really do it justice in this live, but I encourage you to go over there, click on the link below, take advantage of the 50% off. And when I offered that, I said I probably wouldn't be going live, but in actuality, I am going to do a live session maybe tomorrow or Friday in the TR to PR pathway in the actual YouTube, the Facebook group, the private Facebook group right here. I will be going live again right in this group. Just like all the other previous times, everything is still available in here. So if you go to videos, you'll see all the previous videos that I've done are all here. But I will be going live in the next couple days. So not only, and part of the reason I reduced the price down was because I wasn't going scheduled lives. But you know, there's been so many people that have been continuing to subscribe. I am going to jump in and do another live Q&A special for people in that group either tomorrow or Friday. So click on the link below and connect in and join the group at half the price. Okay, let's keep zipping through here. Yeah, Laura, this is a good question. Is the PR online portal for PNP non-express entry, paper-based, up and running for everyone? The government has told us that their intention it doesn't have the capacity to take everyone through that online process. But as you search, we can easily find it, right? We can easily find it. We can easily start the process of registering for an account and submitting it. And so I don't know if the government knows how easy it is to find that link. It disappears sometimes and then it appears. They believe that they're only bringing in about 1/3 of the people. But when it comes to actually going through it, it's interesting because I've just assigned 2 of the lawyers that are Canadian Bar Association members, but in their personal capacities, to meet with immigration. Immigration reached out and asked me to provide feedback on that API, that online application for permanent residence process that you're talking about here, Laura, to give them feedback on it. And hopefully I'll have a little bit more information as to exactly what they intend to do with it. But right now, we don't know if just anybody who wants to can do it. And it seems like it's almost by invitation. So we'll monitor that. Okay, zooming through here. All right, let's see. Okay, this is the most amazing question. 1 queue is good. If the question is short like yours, my friend, Ashutosh, I will definitely select it in the queue. So unable to upload my fee receipt because of technical issues. Instead, I upload my bank statement and explanation letter. That's all you can do in the circumstances, Ashutosh, and you are not going to be penalized because of that. If you have any issues right here, you reach out, book a consult, and we'll sort it out. But you're doing the best that you can. If you do not have a receipt, if it never came later, check your junk mail to make sure that the receipt wasn't pushed out the next day or something. And if it is, if you have the receipt, then once you get your AOR, then you're going to upload that receipt. Okay? Here's a great question. I'm going to pull this one up just because many, many people are bringing this up. Okay. Is a cashier at A&W, can they apply on the essential TR to PR pathway? You're going to have a very difficult time convincing IRCC that a food counter attendant position, which is not on the list, is actually a cashier position at a fast food franchise. Maybe you'll slip through. Maybe you'll get lucky, but they have specifically excluded food counter attendants, which is you, A&W, McDonald's, Burger King, the fast food franchises, your positions. If that employer was to get an LMIA for that position through ESDC, that LMIA would be as a food counter attendant, not as a cashier. Cashiers are in Safeway, they're in Sobeys, they're in Superstore, right? And so a food counter attendant is exactly that. And often if you are working at A&W, Ashmeet, I'm not saying that you can't take a run at it and try, but your position 95% of the time is really, and maybe it's 100%, I don't know, but it's really a food counter attendant, and that's the challenge. Okay, we've got about 5 more minutes. I'm going to go to 10:55 here Mountain Time, and then we're going to wrap it up. I know I haven't gotten to all of your questions. If you have something that's critical, remember, all you have to do is just slide over here, click on the link below, and I think you guys know by now that I am an immigration lawyer and I have a wonderful team of people in my firm. And all you have to do is go to the link below, click on the book a consult, and you can schedule your own consult right now. It's all automated, pay the fee, and you can get right in and book a consult with any of the lawyers in our firm. So you look up here, you can see the availability. Looks like Alicia is really busy, and we will make sure that we get you in. And if you're having trouble booking a time and you can't get one soon enough, then just send an email to info@healthylaw.com. It's right on the website, and we will try to get you in sooner. Okay, we understand that people are in really often when they contact us, things are really urgent. Okay, yes, this is a good one. Okay, YouTube vids, interesting. Common law partner is a Canadian citizen and the portal didn't differentiate and was asking for their police certificate, passport. Common law, is it okay if we put an LOE? Yes, you can put an LOE, but I'll tell you, there's junior officers. There's a number of new people. The people that are processing the TR to PR pathways, guess who they are? They're officers, generally speaking, who were processing visitor visas. And because no visitor visas are being processed, those officers are being reassigned to process the TR to PR pathway. And so they're not experienced. And the last thing I would want for YouTube vids here is to put the LOE in, and then an officer doesn't understand, and then they reject your application for not putting information in. But I can tell you, when it comes to police certificates, when it comes to immigration medicals, absolutely, they do not have to provide those. Well, the reality is, if they're in Canada alone, they don't have to provide them at the beginning. But I would always put an LOE in there. But for my clients, I've encouraged them just to get whatever they have, to upload a copy of the passport, the birth certificate, the stat dec of common law union. We went through the process and did it. You know, it's entirely defensible for you not to have to put a lot of that in, but I just don't take chances. I just don't. Okay. All right. And anyone who asks questions, like I said, that are super long and that are asking about, do I qualify? I'm trying to save them, you guys. I'm trying not to skip past people, but if it's super long and it relates specifically to you and your eligibility, those really are a consult. So go over there and book one. Yeah, some of these are a little bit too specific to pull up here. Yeah, and same thing like Sid, your question here, it's really one of these. I can't advise you on what direction to go personally. You need to book a consult. Yeah, and this is something, I'll just pull up Michael Jackson Dance JR here. The reality is, I understand your situation. And when you're stuck as an FSW and there's no draws, there's not much that you can do. How to provide proof of hours of work? Well, you do that with a pay slip. You do that with your reference letter. You do that if you're in Canada with tax documents. But hours of work generally are pay stubs and reference letters. That's where those come from. Okay, I'll pull this one up. This is a long one, but I'll pull it up and I'll finish with this last question. Okay, so I'm just going to turn this on to let you guys know that we are starting to wrap up. We'll play it in the background. Okay, for the TR to PR pathway, international grad, can I move to a city that is different than the one I mentioned in the intended to live city from IMM 008? I'm aware that we may change our employers, but how about moving to another city, not Quebec? What about getting unemployed after submitting the application? You can move. There's no restriction on where you live at all. When you file your application, you have to show that you are employed. There is no expectation or requirement that you are employed or working at the time in which your application is approved. However, you do have to reside in Canada, and like you pointed out, not in Quebec. And so as far as unemployment after submitting the application, yeah, if you move, you're going to be unemployed. And I would just recommend that you find a new job as quickly as possible. But at this stage, you have to make sure that that original job was legitimate, that it was genuine, that the information you put in didn't show that you just had it for a day, because immigration can be strict on that. And people who just got this job for one day so that they could apply, immigration's going to have issues with that and question the legitimacy of that job if you leave right away. So I strongly encourage people not to move around, not to make changes, not to push the envelope until we start to see how they're processing these applications. All right. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Another great live. Remember, on Friday at 1 p.m., Lou is going to be joining me, LJ, to talk about study permits, to talk about the statistics in different countries, and to give you an idea about whether or not you have a chance of getting your study permit approved based on the statistics we are seeing. All right, guys, thanks so much. We'll see you every Wednesday, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, unless I'm taking a break, which is very rare. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. All the best as you navigate this crazy world that we call Canadian immigration.